Age of Empires 2 just announced some big news on Twitter. Age community, your feedback for Return of Rome has been heard. After careful consideration, the new Roman Civ will join the ranked queue. That's a massive update very shortly after the creator preview was announced. So, Return of Rome, everything you need to know. What to expect with the newest Return of Rome DLC for Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. What is Return of Rome? Return of Rome is a completely new type of expansion which brings classic Age of Empires gameplay, style, and key experiences as a brand new self-contained experience. When launching Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition, to access Return of Rome, you will need to select the Return of Rome icon in the main menu to transition your game. As you can see in the top left, as we showed previously, this is how you transition between the games. You will be taken into Return of Rome, where you'll be able to access favorite and new content, including the Age of Empires classic civilizations, brand new campaigns, and a new competitive D3 game mode. So we'll get more information about campaigns and such, which was not available in the earlier. Also, you can pre-order it now and get an additional 15% off. So definitely check that out if you haven't already pre-ordered it. Who is Lakviet civilization? This is the new civilization added in Return of Rome. The Lakviet are an additional civilization playable alongside the 16 classic civilizations in Return of Rome. Civilization bonuses. Foragers work 20% faster. Military units create 25% faster. Archery range units +2 armor. And the team bonus is houses and farms are built 50% faster. Tech trees as well, a whole another story. We're not going to dive into that right now. But yeah. The Romans in Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. Romans were intended as a bonus for you to enjoy in single player and unranked lobbies as an extra, on top of the content within Return of Rome. However, we have been listening to your feedback and desire to see Romans as a ranked civilization. Based on that feedback, we have decided to add Romans to the ranked queue in a future update. So that sounds like probably they won't be unranked in the initial release, but in a future update. Probably after some balancing. We love seeing the passion of Age of Empires fans, and feedback like this helps us continue to create as many happy players as we can. This will help us ensure that Romans are balanced and ready for competitive play on introduction to ranked gameplay. So yeah, definitely gonna receive some balance before they are introduced to ranked gameplay. Although I think already they're kind of good, but probably the Scorpion bonuses have to be adjusted somewhat. Romans in history. With the newest release of Return of Rome, Age of Empires 2, the Definitive Edition, players will have an opportunity to battle it out as the Romans against other beloved civilizations in AoE 2 DE. These Romans are joining a full roster, but are very different from the ancient Romans featured in the original Age of Empires Definitive Edition. In-game, the Romans date back to about making them contemporaries with the Goth, Celts, Britons, Franks, Persians, etc. By this period in the late antiquity and early Middle Ages, Rome was crumbling shadow of its former glory. Just a little bit of a history lesson, plagued by an inability to pay its soldiers, lack of manpower, and its older fortifications in disrepair. They could not face the invasions of their former provinces or fend off attacks closer to home. By the time of Attila, Rome simply couldn't field any large armies of note and relied on Germanic tribes to guard their frontiers. But those tribes often went rogue and became as enemies instead. The old Roman-controlled area was inundated with an influx of different peoples who settled the land, bringing their own culture and customs, annihilating the old Roman ways. By the end, Rome could not overcome a collapsing economy, loss of manpower, and inability to pay troops, plus bad leadership. When the official end in 476 came with the ousting of the last Roman emperor by a Germanic king, the Roman Empire had already silently melted away. This sounds like where we're going to see some campaigns. So will Return of Rome civilizations be playable with Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition civilizations? The Return of Rome civs and Age 2 civs are isolated to their respective Return of Rome or Age 2 Definitive Edition. As such, they will not be able to interact with each other. So the Return of Rome civs, so that's just like the Age of Empires 1 civs and Age 2 civs will not be able to interact. I imagine that's what they're saying. Yeah, that's what they're saying here. So campaigns included with Return of Rome. These are definitely campaigns we will be playing, so look forward to that. Return of Rome will include 3 new campaigns: Pyrrhus of Epirus, Sargon of Akkad, and Trajan. I'm mispronouncing everything, I'm sure. Each featuring full voice acting, improved AI, and a historically driven narrative and gameplay that makes Age of Empires special. You can see we're going to have 5 missions under the Pyrrhus of Epirus. As the wars of Diadochi saw Alexander the Great's successors throw the Greek world into chaos, Pyrrhus of Epirus began as a small player among Titans. Will he become the worthy of the legendary Hannibal Barca's judgment of him, the greatest general of the age, second only to Alexander? Or will his constant uphill struggle prove insurmountable? In this campaign, you will play as the Macedonians. This is Age of Empires 1 campaign, but you play in Return of Rome, actually, like, you know, Age of Empires 2. Sargon of Akkad. An unlikely man rises to power in the city-states of Mesopotamia. Sargon is a simple cupbearer to the king, but everything changes when the war goddess Ishtar appears in his dreams. Under her guidance, Sargon leads the quarreling Sumerians into a new age, but the seductive nature of power forces him to choose between his divine destiny and his personal ambition. In this campaign, you will play as the Sumerians, so another Age of Empires 1 campaign. And then the Trajan, Marcus Ulpius Trajanus climbed the ranks of the legions while the Emperor Domitian's tyrannical rule tarnished the Roman Empire glory. When circumstances elevates him to the throne as Emperor Trajan, he inherits a realm on the brink of disaster. Will resourcefulness, virtue, and military might be enough to save Rome and lead it to its historical zenith? Or will the Roman Empire collapse 4 centuries before its time? In this campaign, you will play as the Romans. This, I think, is an Age of Empires 2 campaign. Oh, actually, maybe not when I see the interface being teal. Because there's a Roman civilization in Return of Rome as well, not only in as the AV2 DLC civ. What if I already own Age of Empires Definitive Edition? Our intention with Return of Rome is to ensure that if you already own Age of Empires Definitive Edition, you will still find plenty of new content to enjoy. So 3 new campaigns, and a new civilization Lac Viet, and the Roman civ for AoE2, and the introduction of the D3 competitive game mode, popularized by the Vietnamese scene, which is pretty much that you're not allowed to fight. You can only build 1 military unit, and you're not allowed to fight until 1 player has started researching Bronze Age. So the equivalent to Age of Empires 2 would be you're only allowed to build 1 scout cavalry, and you cannot fight until 1 player has started researching Castle Age. Obviously, you have all the other 16 civilization. And then you have quality of life features such as gates now available, formations, there's a spectator mode, a much improved AI for computer opponents, and a lot of new maps. And then the new game modes as well. King of the Hill, Empire War, Sudden Death, Defender Wonder, Wonder Race, and the D3. All those we are very familiar with in Age of Empires 2, but now they're also available for Age of Empires. Well, it's so weird because I want to call it Age of Empires 1, but it's actually now just Return of Rome. So there is that. But yeah. So that's pretty exciting news. Romans will come to ranked in Age of Empires 2 as well, and that is pretty cool. That was also kind of what I was predicting, that they'll get some balance adjustments and then they will be introduced to multiplayer, because I could also tell that there was a lot of people that wanted that. Anyways, that's it. There was a lot of content today, a lot of announcements coming today, and a lot of things we could see within the game. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.